Picture a yacht so colossal it outshines luxury cruise ships, or a mansion dripping in gold. Russian oligarchs don't just live large, they redefine extravagance, with art collections pricier than some nations and homes that could rival royal palaces. Their spending is more than indulgence. It's power, influence, and audacity on display. Today we uncover how the Russian oligarchs spend their billions. Buckle up, you won't believe where their wealth really goes. So, how did Russian oligarchs get so ridiculously filthy rich? Well, to understand, we need to rewind to the 1990s, a time when Russia was like a Black Friday sale, but for billionaires. The term oligarchy doesn't even originate in Russia, it's ancient Greek. Oligarchia basically means rule by a few, or as we'd call it today, when a monopoly game gets way too real. This means it's usually bad news for democracy. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, the economy hit rock bottom and chaos reigned supreme. For most, it was a nightmare. For a few, it was a golden ticket. Factories, oil fields, and resources were practically handed out like free samples at Costco. And these guys didn't just take a piece, they backed up the truck and loaded it all. But being filthy rich wasn't enough for them. They also dove into politics, blending money and power like it was a new cocktail recipe. During President Boris Yeltsin's push for capitalism, these oligarchs were right there, stirring the pot and making sure the outcome worked out in their favor. And it didn't stop with Russia. After the Cold War, this whole oligarch chic thing spread to other former Soviet states. Suddenly, being a business tycoon and a political heavyweight was the ultimate combo, like being both the chef and the owner of the restaurant, cooking up the feast and deciding who gets a seat at the table. Not bad for a group of guys who once stood in Soviet bread lines, dreaming of a loaf, only to end up owning the bakery. And the wheat fields too. But who exactly are these guys? Well, in 2018, the US Treasury dropped a bombshell they called the Putin List. Think of it as Russia's VIP guest list, featuring 114 of Putin's top officials and 96 business titans the US officially labeled as oligarchs. These aren't just rich folks, they're billionaires with direct lines to power, each worth at least $1 billion. And we're gonna spill the beans on a few notables on the Putin list. Their influence is so immense, they could convince you that being filthy rich is a public service and poverty is a crime. Let's start with Roman Abramovich, the stealth oligarch of Russia. Why stealth? For years, he was the world's most invisible billionaire. At one point, a newspaper even offered a cash prize for anyone who could snap a picture of him. Imagine being so rich and powerful that your face is a mystery. It's like playing billionaire hide-and-seek in expert mode. While Abramovich mastered hiding from cameras, you can master smashing that like button. No need for stealth, just one click, and it's ours. Roman Abramovich, the billionaire nobody saw coming. Abramovich's beginnings were a world away from the trappings of wealth. Born in 1966 near the Volga River, his early years were anything but glamorous. Orphaned at just 4 years old, he was raised by his grandparents in a dreary Siberian town 700 miles away from Moscow's glitz and glamour. After serving a stint in the Soviet army, he began making plastic toys and running an auto parts cooperative. Not exactly the dream job, but Abramovich wasn't about to settle for mediocrity. His real ascent began when he enrolled at the Gubkin Institute of Oil and Gas in Moscow. From there, he scored a gig trading commodities with a Swiss firm, Runicom. But his opportunity came in the form of Boris Berezovsky, another big player in the oligarch world. Berezovsky not only mentored Abramovich, but introduced him to Yeltsin's inner circle, a move that turned this low-profile entrepreneur into one of Russia's youngest and most influential power players. Today, his net worth sits at an eye-popping $8 billion. Not bad for a guy who started with plastic toys and now plays in the ultra-luxury league. And we assure you, he knows how to flaunt this fortune. Oleg Deripaska, the action hero oligarch. Oleg Deripaska isn't just another billionaire, he's the action hero of the oligarch world. Born in 1968, he didn't just climb the corporate ladder, he scaled it with a flair of a blockbuster protagonist. His rise? Equal parts legal strategy and thriller plot lines. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, chaos reigned, and 23-year-old Deripaska, still a student at Moscow State University, recognized a potential once-in-a-lifetime chance. While others hit the books, he dove headfirst into the wild, unregulated metals market. By 1994, he was the chief financial officer of Alumine Product and had snagged a stake in a Siberian smelter plant. But this wasn't a cozy desk job. It was a high-stakes game of corporate survival. The drama hit its peak when the plant's former owner tried to reclaim it with a grenade launcher. Yes, you heard that right. Deripaska not only held his ground, but took over as manager. Talk about handling hostile takeovers like a pro. And he didn't stop there. Deripaska later set his sights on the London-based Transworld Group, owned by a controversial multimillionaire, Mikhail Chernoy. The negotiations, let's just say they weren't conducted over tea and biscuits. It was more like a financial chess match with high stakes. In the end, Deripaska turned the post-Soviet chaos into his personal empire-building sandbox. If Billionaires had a survival reality show, this guy would win every season, hands down. As of today, Deripaska's financial scoreboard reads $2 billion. Proof that turning grenade-filled chaos into empires is his specialty. Vaget Alekperov, the oil king of Russia. Let's talk about a man whose success is quite literally fueled by oil, Vaget Alekperov. Born in 1950 in Baku, Azerbaijan, a city known as the cradle of the oil industry, it's almost as if Alekperov had petroleum running through his veins. His father worked in the oil fields, and young Vaget was determined to follow in his footsteps, diving into the industry by the age of 18. Alekperov didn't just dabble in oil, he engineered his way to the top. After studying at the Azerbaijan Institute of Oil and Chemistry, he cut his teeth in the challenging Caspian Sea oil fields. But his big break came in 1979 when he was sent to the frozen tundra of western Siberia. There, he took charge of Kogalimneftgaz, transforming it into a powerhouse oil company by mastering every aspect of the business. By 1991, Alekperov wasn't just a player in the oil game, he was the most valuable player. Appointed as Russia's first deputy minister of fuel and energy and briefly acting minister, he orchestrated one of the biggest mergers in Russian history, combining 3 oil giants into a single corporation. His reward? The presidency of this new company, Lukoil. And from that moment on, Alekperov hasn't just been drilling for oil, he's been drilling his way into the ranks of the world's wealthiest, riding the oligarchy train all the way to billions. As of September 2024, his net worth is estimated at $27.6 billion, positioning him as the 3rd wealthiest individual in Russia and the 59th globally. It's as if every barrel of oil he helped extract added a golden brick to his financial empire. Take a closer look. There's a pattern, and the game becomes crystal clear. These billionaires don't just stumble into their fortunes, they played their cards with ruthless precision, leveraging political connections and snatching up opportunities without hesitation. They turned chaos into currency, and they weren't shy about it. When the Soviet Union collapsed, Russia became a free-for-all fire sale of state-owned assets. Toss in corruption so deep it could fill an Olympic swimming pool, and you've got the perfect storm for creating a handful of outrageously wealthy power players. How outrageous? Between 2005 and 2015, Russian billionaires' wealth made up a staggering 25 to 40% of the country's entire national income. To put that into perspective, in the US, Germany, or France, billionaires only accounted for 5 to 15% of their nation's income during the same period. That's not just inequality, that's a billionaire monopoly board. And the tactics? Not exactly a masterclass in ethics. Accusations include draining state budgets, extorting businesses, and outright seizing lucrative companies. Opposition leaders Boris Nemtsov and Vladimir Milov even claimed that $60 billion vanished from Gazprom, Russia's state-owned gas giant, and ended up lining the pockets of Putin's inner circle. Essentially, Gazprom wasn't just an energy company. It was their personal ATM. Feeling overwhelmed by these billionaire monopoly moves? Don't worry, subscribing to this channel is the only power play you'll need today. No billion-dollar deals required. Just a quick click to join the fun. Ready for some more shocking power play? Enter Pandora Papers. This investigative bombshell revealed how Putin's closest allies weren't just getting rich, they were potentially helping shuffle his wealth into hidden accounts. Some even claim Putin is secretly the world's richest person. So where is all that money going? It's not funding better schools or hospitals. No, it's parked in offshore havens like Cyprus and the British Virgin Islands. But don't worry, we've got some juicy details on exactly what these filthy billions are being spent on. Let's delve into how these oligarchs are channeling their immense wealth. It's not just about yachts and champagne, though there's plenty of that too. In 2017, Reuters revealed that at least 63 individuals with Russian passports or addresses invested a staggering $98.4 million in luxury condos within Trump-branded towers in southern Florida. We'll see what the US Justice Department plans to do about this later. Clearly, when it comes to real estate, these oligarchs don't hold back. By 2022, Transparency International uncovered that Russians owned an astounding £1.5 billion worth of property in the UK. We're not merely discussing Russian nationals. These are oligarchs adept at concealing their assets in plain sight. Take Roman Abramovich, for instance. He doesn't bother hiding his mansions. They're practically landmarks. Consider his 15-bedroom estate at 16 Kensington Palace Gardens in London. This isn't just a house, it's a palace, situated literally down the street from the British royals. Interestingly, it once housed the Soviet Union's diplomatic commission. Then there's his 18th century Lindsay House on Cheney Walk, complete with pleasure grounds, because apparently regular grounds just won't do. And let's not forget his $45 million, 6,000 square foot penthouse at Chelsea waterfront, featuring a wine cellar designed to keep even the most exquisite vintages content. Abramovich doesn't just live, he also buys world-famous sports clubs. In 2003, he purchased Chelsea Football Club for £140 million and sold it in 2022 for a record £4.25 billion, making it one of the most significant profits in sports history. Wow! When it comes to yachts, Abramovich truly reigns supreme, owning multiple vessels, including the Eclipse, valued at $700 million, and Solaris, valued at $600 million, with his entire fleet estimated at over $1.3 billion. But he's far from alone. Vaget Alekperov's family's been quietly turning their billions into a sprawling luxury real estate empire. Using a Luxembourg-based investment company, they've secured stakes in prime properties in Bulgaria, including a colossal shopping mall and 2 state-of-the-art office towers, Infinity Tower and Office Tower B. While the rest of us debate whether to splurge on an extra-large coffee, they're busy deciding how many skyscrapers to add to their growing portfolio. Then there's Oleg Deripaska, whose real estate collection resembles a billionaire's dream catalog. In 2008, he acquired a 5-story mansion on New York's Upper East Side for $42.5 million. A few years earlier, he secured a cozy townhouse in Manhattan's West Village for $4.5 million. By cozy, we mean 3 stories of prime real estate. Deripaska also owns a 12,000 square foot mansion near Washington, D.C.'s Embassy Row, complete with 7 bedrooms, 11 bathrooms, and a whole lot of wow. When it comes to yachts, Deripaska doesn't disappoint, owning the $65 million Clio and a $20 million support vessel named Sputnik. Because in true filthy rich style, why settle for one yacht when you can have an entire fleet at your service? And there you have it, how Russian oligarchs turn billions into yachts, palaces, and untouchable filthy rich empires. But beneath the luxury lies a deeper story of power, influence, and its toll on an entire nation. If you're curious for more untold stories and eye-opening insights, make sure to subscribe. You won't want to miss what's coming next.